Take us away.
Answers by guess. 3.5 already. The inside scoop from outside the box. Welcome, everyone. Make sure you like us on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. Like us on TikTok, X, Patreon, and Spotify. We finished another week 3. We've talked a lot about ebb and flows and seiches and craziness. And week 3 gave us everything we've been hoping it wouldn't. But that's why we're here. We're going to break it down and give you some inside scoop from outside the box. We'll start out with the Guest Gazette here. And I wanted to lead out with the Guest Gazette is really, this is how I feel. I pulled out a win. I got lucky. Laporta didn't do anything in the second half, so I ended up winning by 10 points. But there's a lot of people feeling that edginess right now. So what were your highlights? What did you see, lowlights for week number 3? Just sort of opening up here with how you're feeling after 3 weeks into the season.
Well, first things first, I am subscribed to YouTube, so as soon as we went live, I got a notification on my phone. That's what I keep looking at. I mean, that's the best way. I mean, because Facebook is terrible always, and I don't care. They are. Right now, they're having issues all over the place. So we continue to push it. We've been doing it for years. Just subscribe to YouTube. It's the easiest way. You'll get a notification. They're always on point. Secondly, you mentioned ebbs and flows and seiches. I feel like we got everything but that. I feel like we got a monsoon and a drought at the same time. And Marty, for anybody that's watching, whether you're watching live or late, I have no clue what he does when he puts these together. So that picture right there, I didn't tell him anything up, down, left, right, inside, or outside. And that's exactly the way I felt. Week 3 was completely insane. I mean, I did make the posts in the group, but from everything. I feel like it gave us everything that we didn't know, not that we wanted. If you got to win, I guess you did, but it was just insane. It was insane. It was insane to the point, and I loved it because in the night games and throughout the day, I watched the Red Zone, right? So throughout the day, I'm listening to, what's the dude's name? John Hanson, is that his name? Whatever. He's saying shortly after I made the post that what a crazy day this is with all these block kicks and these pick sixes and these punt returns for touchdowns and all the things that were happening. And then you watch the night game on Sunday night and the commentators are saying the same thing. And then you watch last night and Tirico is saying the same exact thing. He's like, well, as crazy as this week has been, don't count the Ravens out from coming back and getting this onside kick. And I just thought to myself, I'm like, it would be ridiculous if it did. I don't think it's going to. They didn't. But, I mean, it just would have fit perfectly because the week was just insane. I mean, we'll get into as much of it as Marty wants to, because if it was up to me, I don't want to talk about it at all. Like, I don't want to talk about it at all. I was sitting last night before Monday Night Football, and I thought to myself, thank God I stopped rewatching every game last season towards the end and got myself in the groove where I'm not doing that, because I wouldn't even want to watch this week. I wouldn't even want to watch these games. They were great. They were exciting, but it was just, there's the picture of me. I guess that's me. I'm number 87. I didn't even want to watch them. I was so happy that I don't do that anymore. I'm ready to move on to week 4, but we could talk about what you got on slate. Sorry for the rant, but that's everything that was going on inside those red lines there.
I sort of captured that, found this because that seemed to be the people were posting and commenting, and this is just sort of how everyone felt, I think. The games were super exciting. No doubt. Blowout wins. Uh,
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the Falcons getting shut out by the Panthers, 30-0. I mean, talking about Falcons have everything going for them, and to put up a 0 on that. We know we were speaking very highly of the Falcons and did nothing. There's one example of why you look like this. If you have anybody with the Falcons.
Yeah, well, to backtrack slightly, I'm glad you're bringing that up, but to backtrack slightly, I'm not a psychic, but I may have some psychic intuitions because I did make that cryptic post last week about I could feel something brewing. And boy, is week 3 just sort of, maybe that's what I was feeling. Maybe I was feeling like something crazy was about to happen. Maybe that was the panic. Maybe people weren't panicking with their lineups. Maybe I felt the panic coming now because it's just crazy. As far as the Falcons go, they never got past the 30-yard line against the Panthers. The furthest they got was the Panthers' 32-yard line. I never heard of such a thing, especially a team that they weren't firing on all cylinders, but they have the ammunition to do so. In the Panthers, right? Everybody's beat down. I like them. I took a future for them to actually make the playoffs this year because it's kind of had a feeling that everybody knows I like Bryce Young and I like Tet and Chuba's great. And I feel like their secondary is okay. But we were talking on Sunday that Atlanta was just going to be run. Sit your wide receivers because they'll just be able to run the ball. And they weren't. I mean, Bijan had a game, but you can't get past the 32 once.
Yeah, that was a super crazy game. Tet did really well. Renfro, I thought he'd get close to 10 targets. He had 4. That was just an odd game. There wasn't a lot of passing yards, but they put up 30 points. Another one I wanted to talk about was the Giants. Everybody was up on them because they played the Cowboys, and we saw what the Bears did with the Cowboys this weekend. But looks like Jackson Dart's going to be starting week 4. At least that's the rumors. And we'll talk about injuries in a moment about that. But what did you think of that game with the Giants again laying an egg?
I mean, that was to be expected. I kind of had mentioned that last Tuesday. We were talking about how all the Giants popped off, and I was just sort of like, pump your brakes a little bit. This division game, they were pumped up for it. Don't go too crazy with your bologna sandwich, Wan'Dale Robinson, which he did fine. But all things considered, what's interesting about the Jackson Dart situation is both New York teams, they both have ex-Pittsburgh Steeler quarterbacks. And they both, right now, are in the midst of a bit of a controversy with them. Russell Wilson looked like old school Russell Wilson. They were ready to build a statue in New Jersey if they would have won against Dallas. And now, sure enough, right, we're benching him. And Fields is out with a concussion, and Taylor might be the starter. So with both of these New York teams, I honestly think Jackson Dart could give him a lift. I don't know what the problem is with Justin Fields, though. Why is it this way everywhere he goes? Where it's like he looks electric. He got hurt. He didn't look great week 2. He got hurt, though. And now you're automatically thinking, maybe we should go a different route. I know we started off talking about the Giants, but Justin Fields is on my mind because I feel like he gets the short end of the stick everywhere he goes. He got it in Pittsburgh for Russell Wilson. He got it in Chicago. And it sounds like he's going to get it again from the Jets, which I think is a big mistake.
Yeah, for sure. I also wanted to ask you about the Bengals. They got blown up by the Vikings. Should we be concerned about the Bengals? And I know there's a lot of questions. We'll have a few here about Chase Brown. So any concerns with the Bengals as they're going into week 4?
Yeah, I did see a couple of those pop up, and I'll talk more about them directly when we get to them. But I think that's just one of those games. A, it was week 3, 2025. B, it's just one of those games where you just start off on the wrong foot and everything just goes downhill from there. I mean, when Browning threw that pick 6, and I think that made it 14-0. I mean, from that point forward, everybody was making mistakes. Chase was fumbling the ball. It just, they could do nothing right. They were the bumbling Bengals, right? The Bungles. And I like what Chase Brown said after. I'm not sure if you caught it or not, but basically, to paraphrase, he's like, all you people that are saying this, that, and the third, it's like, to hell with you. You know, we're fine. The locker room's fine. Nobody's fighting in here. It was one game. We'll move past it. And that's kind of where I'm at. Browning has looked better without a doubt. But he's going to have those downsides, and it's going to be a struggle for some of those guys. But the Vikings were ready to play, and they took advantage of every single opportunity. And, I mean, their defense is good, and they were at home. So,
yeah, we'll definitely talk about the Bengals on Sunday. They play Monday night against the Broncos. My last one, we thought there might be a slight change, but the Texans' offensive line is still awful. They haven't been able to do anything. They lost to the Jaguars in the last second. We were still concerned about Stroud and what the Texans are going to do, because they do have Collins, and they haven't decided on their running game yet. I still think Marks is going to be taken over in a few weeks. What's your thoughts on the Texans?
Yeah, they have disappointed me for sure. This was a game that they should have won. Their offense has looked absolutely terrible. And I know the offensive line has a lot to do with it, but Stroud, I thought he was going to have the junior reprise, right, after the sophomore slump that I had forecasted. It's not happening. And when you got a relatively, he's not quite there yet. He had really maybe 1.5 good years. Nico Collins, all-world type of guy. You get Kirk back last week. You got 2 good rookies. You should be able to do something a little more than they've been doing. I'd be a little worried, but we'll see what happens in week 4. But it bothers me because I was high on Stroud going into this year, and he just doesn't. He can't handle it well when the line's not helping him out, and it's no good. It's no good.
We'll see if they can turn it around. They play at home against the Titans. We'll talk more about that game on Sunday. All right. So last week we had quarterback injuries. Now, maybe Daniels comes back this week. I don't know. Fields looks like he's still going to be out. They talked about Purdy maybe coming back. But it's generally going to be Browning and Wentz and Taylor and maybe Mac Jones again for this week. So we had to deal with all the quarterback injuries in week 2. In week 3, you've talked about this. We hate to wish anything bad on anyone.
Yeah.
But James Conner out for the year. CeeDee Lamb out several weeks, maybe on IR. Najee Harris out for the year. Tyrone Tracy, a shoulder injury, out for a few weeks. Evans could be out 2 to 4 weeks. McLaurin just waiting. Diami Brown shoulder. Colston Loveland banged up. Michael Mayer concussion. And then Jatavian Sanders, who you really called out, is maybe having a good game last week and moving forward. He's going to be out for a few weeks. Lots of injuries. Any comments on these injuries, or what we should look for in trying to replace some of these players?
Well, there's a guy that I did not put on 5 guys. There's a couple, because Trey McBride doesn't belong on there, or not Trey McBride, Trey Benson, because I've been pumping him up since the preseason. But Omari and Hampton could never fall on that list. Scatabo, I talked about early on, and people know him. But the one guy that I'm looking at is CeeDee Lamb, and the 5 guy for your eye, obvious, but I'm not going to put him on there. And the reason I chose not to put him out, I'm so glad you put this on. Again, if people are tuning in, thank you so much. But if you're tuning in, I have no clue what Marty's going to put up here, just like I never had any clue what Rob was going to put up here. I want it to be a complete surprise so that my instincts come out first and I don't have time to think about it. But I'm so glad you did this, Marty. So thank you. Because I see CD Lamb there, and it gives me a chance to talk about a guy that has been on Five Guys for Your Eyes probably every year, aside from this year that we've done it. And that's Jalen Tolbert. I mean, he's just somebody who you should know his name because I've split it out there before. He's had nice blow-up games, and he's been with the team for a few years now. And they'll be able to use him, not quite like CD Lamb, but they'll be able to use him. And you'll probably see the other guys that have been playing, like the Turpin and whatnot as well. But Jalen Tolbert is somebody I'm not going to mention in Five Guys, but he's obviously somebody that you could go out and pick up. And I mean, Brown, he's had his flashes. The Commanders are going to be, it's going to be tough. We've seen what happens when Debo has to be the only one in San Francisco. So that could be tough. The Bears will be fine because they've been using Kmet more than Loveland anyways. Raiders will obviously be fine. I felt like Sanders was going to come on, and another guy on this list their team will be fine too because we got somebody on their team coming in the Five Guys for Your Eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So besides all the craziness, we've had a lot of injuries the last couple of weeks, and it's affected my team. I have CDs, so I'm going to have to pivot a little bit and see what happens. Yeah. All right. We'll go some questions here. So, Chris, do I hold Chase Brown or try a trade? And who would you pursue?
Now, I'm just, again, going off of glimpses. I did have a day off from work today. All the kids had off. The wife had off, so we were doing some family things. But I saw my phone. I feel like Chris asked another question. Am I correct?
I think he did, yes.
Send an offer of something, Chase Brown in particular, for somebody else. Here's my thing. If you're trading Chase Brown now or this week, you're selling low. It's one of the worst things you could do, whether you're a collector or somebody that just owns any particular property or anything, or a fantasy manager. One of the worst things you can do, unless you feel like the bottom is going to completely fall out, worst thing you can do is sell low. So I don't know what you would get.
He was asking later on, I think I have that in the question too. I didn't see that. Chase Brown for Scatterboo.
Yeah. So here's the reason that if you could do it, I think at this point in time, I still think you're selling low, but I think that your upside, barring that Burrow might be out until November, end of November, even beginning of November, somewhere in November. You could benefit from that, especially with the Tracy injury. But would the other person be willing to do that? That's the thing. You're selling Chase Brown off of his worst game as a starter in his career. The whole team had their worst game. So, again, I'm throwing the entire Bengals game out the window. They just got punched in the mouth. The pick six killed them, and then every single Bengal was making mistakes throughout the game. So I throw it all out. But if you want to sell them low and you can get Scatterbo, I think it would make sense for now, for the next 5 to 6 weeks. It could work out in your favor, especially with Tracy being injured. But would that manager even be willing to do that? Because I would have to think they know Tracy's hurt as well. Scatterbo's been punching the ball in. He's been looking good. So it's almost like he would be wanting to sell high. So if you can get him to do that, I think I would be okay with that trade. I'm a Chase Brown owner in one league, and I'm not looking to deal him at all.
Right. So Keith would you drop Wright? So Wright for the Dolphins and try to get Dart. Now he has several quarterbacks on his team. He said that Ali seems to be the running back 2 on the Dolphins, so that's why he wants to drop Wright. But he's got Murray on this team. He has Indiana Jones on his team. And if I look one more, I think he had one other quarterback on his team. And I don't think this is a super flex. So
Yeah,
your
that's all I
thoughts on that?
see. I mean, you could just in case he explodes, because Wright is expendable. But my advice, Keith, would be: is there anybody else on the waiver wire who you might actually use no matter what? Because Kyler's not looked good. Jones has, but Jones could all of a sudden not look good, and Kyler could look good. Unless you absolutely feel like Dart is going to come into the league and blow the doors off the place and be better than these two every week. You'll be better than Kyler when he has highs and Daniel Jones when he's continuing to have a high. Otherwise, I don't see a reason to own him. I'd rather your team is stacked. I like it. The bench spots. I wish you could move Spears to the IR. I wish you had an IR. You must not. You got a couple injury problems on the bottom, but Worthy will be coming back. Jennings is going to be this way all year. But Wright's expendable. But I would look at the waiver wires. There's somebody else that maybe I could use. Maybe a wide receiver. Is there a better wide receiver sitting out there? I know you got 3 good names there, but Jennings always hurt. Worthy will be coming back, but you've got Ridley who's underperforming because of his quarterback. Me personally, having 3 quarterbacks is not a terrible idea, but unless I feel like he could be better than the other 2 every single week, no matter what, I wouldn't even bother. If you're trying to catch lightning in a bottle, go for it. But if there's a good position guy out there, I'd rather just have one of those and try and catch lightning in a bottle at wide receiver or something.
Yeah, for sure. I like that. I like that. Maybe trying to build on your wide receivers. Really is underperforming, as you said. Jefferson, he's got to
throw that up.
Just throw it up. I just saw that. He just remembered. Oh yeah, Herbert, the rookie year, he didn't take the bait. I did, and I did really well with that.
Yeah. So go for it then. Listen, what do we always say here, Marty?
Go with your gut.
That's it. Go with your gut. Who cares what I say? Who cares what Marty says? Who cares what Rob says? You go with your gut because you're the one that's going to have to live with the decision. Not me. Not him. Not the other him.
Jeremy has a question. So Jeremy has a question. We would be considering starting Benson over Chase Brown.
I would, especially this week. I know that they're playing against Seattle, but they are at home, and Brown is playing against Denver. So, yeah. This week especially, I'd be fine with that. And in my mind, that isn't even recency bias. That isn't even reactive. You're not reacting to how bad the Bengals looked last week. You're just playing the matchups at that point. You are playing a starting running back for a team with an easier matchup at home than a running back with a tougher matchup. So that's this week for sure.
All right. Jason, is Keenan Allen worth picking up?
I mean, we've talked about this, Jason. I hope you're watching, either, again, live or playback. Keenan Allen, I was not on board beginning of the year, but he keeps producing, keeps doing things. So is he worth picking up? Sure. Listen, and I know there's other questions, whether it's this week or in the past, because there was, or weeks from now, because there will be. Is this guy worth picking up? Is this guy worth dropping? The answer is always yes, depending on what else there is, depending on what your team looks like. So if you need a solid wide receiver 2, 3, or just a really solid 4th guy to be on your bench, yeah, he's worth picking up. If there's somebody way better out there that even you feel better about, then you pick him up over Keenan Allen. But I was not on board with Keenan Allen. The reason I was not on board with him is because for the entirety of the season, like I said a couple weeks ago, he had a good start early last year and got hurt and fell off and never came back. So That's what I was forecasting. But right now, that's all we care about, right? Winning this week. But you also have to keep in mind, I want the rest of the season as well. It's okay to win week 4 or lose week 4. It's the rest of the season that's going to get you there. This is just a piece of the puzzle. So you can pick him up. Yeah, he's worth it. He's playable. He's fantasy rosterable and playable. Sure.
All right, Landon, he got offered a trade. Maybe he's already made this. David Montgomery for Javonte Williams. Should I accept? What really happened was the last night the Lions went back to their old Lions, and
They did.
it was just absolutely amazing to me. And Montgomery made an appearance this season.
Big one.
So Montgomery for Javonte.
Yeah. As I'm watching that game, I'm thinking to myself, shame on me for thinking this team would lose something with Ben Johnson gone. They were pumped up for that one. They wanted that one a lot on the road, right? They really took it to them. I love Javonte, probably, I don't know if he's married, but I'm going to say 4th most in the world. I think I would do it, but I would be worried. And the reason I would be worried is because the reason I love Javonte because I know how good he is. But I just worry that it's going to fall. The wheels are going to fall off. Did have the big injury a couple years ago. A couple years ago when I drafted him in the first round, shocked the world. Didn't work out because he got hurt. Week 2, I think. He was out for the year. I love him, and he's looked great. But I think I would take this because Montgomery is just so much more consistent. And if those wheels do fall off, if Jaden Blue does get it together, he's going to start eating into his snaps. So I think I would do this. It's a little safer is what I'd say.
Yeah, for the Cowboys, it's really going to be interesting how the defenses now attack them with CD gone. Like you said, you talked about Tolbert, you have Ferguson, you have Pickens, but will they respect the passing game, or are they just going to try to stack the line pressurize on Dak and try to stop that running game and make Dak try to throw when he doesn't want to?
But good luck taking this. Good luck taking this, like Marty said after last night, because the other guy probably revoked it. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yep. All right, Chris. That we already talked about that. Chase for Scatavoo. Yeah. All right, Antonio. Hi, friends. How are you? We're doing great. Should I get the Colts or Seattle and drop the Falcons D?
I got to look at all their matchups this week, but it's not. I like to play.
So right now the Colts are playing at the Rams. Seattle obviously is playing Thursday night at the Cardinals, and the Falcons are playing at home against the Washington Commanders.
You know what? I talked about Seattle on Sunday, and I liked them very much at the end of the year last year. And Answers by Guess, if you were watching, probably the last six weeks of the season, I think they've made 2 appearances. One, because Houston was the other one this year. So they made one towards the end of the year last year. Seattle defense on Five Guys for Your Eyes. So it's like I really like how the young guys are starting to gel together. The defense is really starting to look good. In the beginning of the season, they're showing it. So I would take Seattle over the Falcons for sure.
All right. Thanks, Antonio. Question here from Jeremy. Trey Tucker's trending up, or was that just a big game?
Trey Tucker, another guy that was on Five Guys for Your Eyes at least once, maybe twice over the past couple of years. He's had these games before. He is the ultimate one-trick pony, where it was always a deep shot to use his speed and get down the field and score. He was doing much more than that the last game. And the Raiders need another guy. I know they got Myers, but Thornton, the rookie, is still slow to catch on. It will happen. but they needed another guy, and they found Trey Tucker last week. So I think he would be okay to pick up. You're obviously not starting him yet, but the buys are, what, a week away, essentially. A week from today, we're going to start planning for some week 5 buys. So is he worth picking up? Yeah. He's obviously trending up because anytime a guy has a big game, 95% of people, not even just fantasy managers, are reactionary. They see a bunch of points, a bunch of stats, and they say, I like that guy. And they go and they get him. And some of that is happening, but he's a one-trick pony who did more than that last game. They need a good wide receiver too. He could be somebody. So he's worth a pickup. You stash, you watch. Can he string together 2 or 3 consistent games? Because he's yet to do that in his career. He's had huge blow-ups, big passes, and I know it for a fact because I had taken him yardage totals in one game or touchdown in one game, and he doesn't do it, and then the next week he does it, and then I go, all right, I'll get back on, and then nothing happens. So it's like nothing burger, what a burger, followed by another nothing burger. It's like fantasy football. What can you do?
Yeah, between those 3, Jacoby Myers, your 5 guys for your eye pick, I think a couple weeks ago, Dante Thornton Jr. I think it's one of those guys that are going to have a big week. It was Trey's last week, but like you said, bye weeks are coming up. It might be a great matchup on one of the bye weeks for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy.
And then pause real quick. That leads me to something else I wanted to mention tonight and I forgot about. You should be looking at your team now for who has a bye week, week 5. You should be looking at the matchups for week 5. I know we haven't had week 4 yet, but plan for your buys now. Because if you see somebody like that maybe, hey, Trey Tucker, I don't know. They could be even a week 5 buy. I don't know. I feel like they're 14, but I really don't know. You'd be like, hey, he's got a nice matchup week 5. I'm going to pick him up, see if he does something good in week 4. And then I know I can use him in case anything happens type of thing. So planning a week ahead, especially when the buys come, is one of the best things that you can do.
All right. We mentioned this a little bit. Is Calvin Ridley droppable yet? Just really underperforming, as you mentioned. Is he going to get it together? Is Cam Ward going to get there?
Was it not Jason that asked the last same exact question where I was like, is this guy worth picking up? Is this guy worth dropping? Yes, he's droppable if there's something way better or more serviceable to you, either available or already on your team. If you already have 3 good wide receivers and possibly, hopefully, a 4th, for whatever way, maybe you do, but your running backs are slacking and you're like, I want to drop Calvin Ridley, then by all means, drop Calvin Ridley and pick up another running back. Would I drop him if I owned him on any of my teams? No, probably not, unless I was in dire need for a running back or a tight end or a quarterback and all the other guys I liked better than him, unless I had to. I mean, I'm not just dropping guys because they suck for a couple weeks. He sucked for a couple this year and a bunch last year, right? He's had a lot of gooses, too many, to be honest, as of late, the past year and a half, 2 years, I feel like. You could drop him, but for what? For what? Everybody's droppable. You just better have something better. It's like when you're in high school and you got a girlfriend. You could dump your girlfriend, but you better have a plan B.
All right. We'll go to a couple other questions before we go to 5 guys. Here's a long question. Let's see if this pops up.
Where'd you go, Marty?
So Scott lost both of my wide receivers. That's okay. I got a radio voice. I got a face for radio, as they say. Lost both of my wide receivers, CD and Evans. Those injuries led to a loss on 1 and 2. Rolling with Sutton, who was flex. Thornton, who he says Thornton for the Chiefs, who I picked up before Sunday night's game, and now I have to roll with either Henderson and Mooney in the flex. Trying for Tucker, Shepard or Horton in the waiver slot. instead of movie. Have to somehow survive 3-4 weeks till I get my wide receivers back.
Well, kudos to you for buying into my number 1 5 guy for your eye. I think it might have been week 1 where I was telling you all they want to do is take deep passes to Thornton. And how about that? They did it 2 plays in a row. He almost had that second touchdown, Marty, that I talked about on Sunday. I said, if you want to get real ballsy, you take Tyquan Thornton 2 touchdowns. He had one, and he almost had that second one, but they said the ball hit the ground. And then they went right back to him the next play, and he got knocked. He caught the ball and fell at the 1. So he was so close to those 2 touchdowns. But that's their play for him. And I know that Worthy's coming back, but I'm telling you right now, they are not stopping that with Tyquan Thornton. So you have Thornton, you keep rolling with him. That is their bread and butter. I saw it week 1. They hit it finally week 2. They hit it again week 3. And he's going to be in that role. He's going to be just fine. So you stick with Tyquan. And if I'm looking at Tucker, Shepard, or Horton, I'm going with Marty's guy, Torrey Horton. They got him involved on offense. He's got return ability, as you saw him return that kick for a touchdown. So I'm going with Horton if I'm picking any of them. I'd probably put Horton first, Tucker third, and Sterling Shepard, or Tucker second, Sterling Shepard third, because he's going to be knocked down. Even with Evans out, he's still going to be third on the list, which is fine because we saw him be third, but still he's third on my list for these 3.
Okay. Thanks, Scott. All right. Josue said he overpaid for Puka. He kind of is regretting it, but whatever. He sent Chase, Waddle, and Benson received Puka and Godwin.
Ooh.
So he says now his
Benson.
start. Yeah. Now he says his starters are now Puka, McMillan, Odunze, Pearsall, James Cook, and Hampton.
Mm-hmm.
That is pretty solid, but
I would have rather had Jamar Chase, McMillan, Odunze, Pearsall, James Cook, Hampton, Benson. So, yeah, you did overpay, but it is what it is. You got to roll with it now. You got to open roster spot, so hopefully you could fill that with somebody. You sent 3 away. You got 2. My advice, based on looking at it, you probably should be looking to pick up a running back.
Yep. All right. All right. It's time for the wonderful drum roll. 5 guys for your eyes.
Here it is.
Bring your questions in. Hit your like button. Here we go. Number 5, Blake Corum, the Rams running back, week 4 against the Colts.
And what a segue. You probably should be looking for a running back, I just told him. And here's one for you. Kyron, they used Blake Corum more last week than I feel like he's ever been used in his career. Something's not gelling quite with Kyron like we saw over the past couple seasons. And I think they're going to see more and more Corum as we get going. And if he begins to seriously outplay Kyron Williams, Sean McVay will have no problem sending Kyron to the bench and rolling with Corum, because he loves just having one guy, and he loves to have the one guy that's the best guy. And I feel like this is the buy now opportunity, the scoop opportunity. I felt like this was a little bit of a layup because of the name. We know the name for the past couple of years now. But I think now is the time to get Blake Corum, because I think it could be turning in Los Angeles with the Rams.
Yeah. Josue came back, so going to try to trade Fannin for a running back. I don't know who else he has in the tight end position, but
right.
Maybe it's dropping one of the tight ends and picking up Corum or
just
someone
pick
else.
up Corum. You got an open bench spot. You traded 3 for 2. Pick up Corum. Get it done.
All right. Number 4, Chris Godwin coming back from an injury. They're playing the Eagles.
Layup. This is a layup because he might be on a team, but if you don't have IR, somebody might have dropped him. He's going to be coming back. Evans is out. Put your eye on him tonight. put in a thing for him. Listen, he's not going to probably last the whole season, but he's going to be electric and serviceable once he gets up to speed. And bye weeks are coming. This is for week 5, by the way. This is not for week 4. You don't pick him up. I don't think I would play him this week against the Eagles. Even if he goes off, it all depends, again, on your team makeup, your matchup, so on and so forth. This is a week 5 play for me. And that's the only reason I put it on the list is pick him up now because you probably have a guy or two on week 5 bye that maybe you didn't even realize. This is a nice fill-in. Unless they have week 5 bye. Do they have a week 5 bye? I don't even know the buys yet. I'm just telling you what I'm going to do when I get off the air tonight. I'm going to my team. I'm looking at buys, and I'm picking up guys for week 5, if anything. Because my team is set for week 4. Because, again, I draft guys. The beginning of the season is 4 weeks. That's part 1. This is the last part. So I'm not going crazy until those buys hit. And then I start to get sexy. Then I start to throw people in there that have no business. Because I was thinking on my drive home today with the family, I'm daydreaming in the car as I'm driving. And I'm thinking to myself, I should have played Tyquan Thornton the past 2 weeks. But I just couldn't because I'm rolling with the guys I drafted to be the guys. And it might be too late for the Tyquan Thornton. I don't think it will be, but it might be too late to do a move like that. But that all starts in week 5 when we start getting crazy.
Yeah, they have a bye week in week 9. But
Yeah,
like you said, people probably aren't really paying too much attention to him now because there's no bye week. So if he is available, snap him up.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3, Zamir White, Vegas Raiders. I'd see this. People are, opening. We had that little face. That's how people feel about overpaying for Genty. So,
yeah, he's not looking great, Genty, and Vegas Raiders. I feel like they saw that because I feel like Zamir White got a little bit more burn last week than he had gotten all this year, and we saw Zamir White at the end of the season last year blow up in a couple games, and would not surprise me if maybe even just for a little bit, especially against the Bears. I mean, the Bears looked good. Don't get me wrong against Dallas, but they still have their issues. And if the Raiders show up in this one and they could pound the ball on the Bears using the 2 running backs, I think that they would do that. I think that's Pete Carroll likes to do stuff like that. So I think Zamir White is somebody you should have your eye on because the Genty is not there yet. And I think they want a little bit more, which is why I think we saw Zamir White a little bit more last week.
all right, somebody definitely to pick up if you're able to and stash for a little bit, see what happens. Number 2, you mentioned this on Sunday's show. Shard Smith.
I did. Yeah, I mentioned on Sunday's show, I said I actually talked about George Halani as well, but I don't think Charbonnet is going to be out too long. So there's no reason to have a 3-headed monster, although they've done it before in Seattle. But Brashard Smith, I know he got in the game a little bit later, just like Halani got in the game a lot later after Seattle was murdering. And I was so hoping for that touchdown. I feel like he had a shot, but whatever. Brashard Smith looks really good to me. He passed the eye test. Watched some highlights from the game when he got into the game and was doing some things. And you know who doesn't look good, Marty? Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah.
To me, he just doesn't.
We talked about that on Sunday. We thought he had the opportunity against the Giants, and just looked really sluggish.
Yeah, and I don't think that Andy Reid's going to put up with it for too long. I know they have Kareem Hunt there, and Hunt scored a touchdown, and he poaches them every now and then. But Brashard Smith is a guy that they got in there, and I feel like he could do some things. And there's always a random fellow, like an Arian Foster type. I feel like even – was he? He might not have been. Jamal Charles, was he like a out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like nobody thought he was going to be much. It just sort of like he gives me that Jamal Charles, Arian Foster type of feel when I look at him and I watch him play. And I'm like, this guy, given the opportunity, give him 20 touches a game, I feel like he could give you 100 yards week after week. He's somebody that I'm looking at very strongly.
Right. Number 1 this week, Parker Washington, Jacksonville.
Trevor Lawrence loves him. When it was Trevor Lawrence a year or two ago, Parker Washington was blowing up. Trevor Lawrence got out last year, and it became the BTJ show. Trevor Lawrence loves him, and week after week, each week, we've seen Parker Washington get more and more looks, more and more touches, more and more points, and I don't think that's going anywhere. I think he's going to be a solid third wide receiver for this team, and I mean, if you would even say that Hunter would be a second, I think he's a perfect guy to pick up for a bye week because he's going to get 5 or 6 targets minimum a game, and probably could bust one for a touchdown at any given moment.
Yeah, for sure.
The only downside is you got to rely on Trevor Lawrence to get you there. But
yeah, and Hunter, it seems like are they going to lean for him more to play defense?
yeah.
He's been Parker's been getting the targets the last couple of weeks. It'll be definitely one to watch. All right.
No, the best time of the night.
Best time of the night. I thought it was at the beginning there, but all right. We've got the Bridges bonus, and I'm going to the archives there, Guess.
Oh,
the archives. Here we go.
So excited.
Kamani Vidal. Kamani Vidal, Chargers running back. He may not have been called off the practice squad yet, but I will tell you, Haskins is right now labeled as a backup to Hampton. Hampton's going to get it more carries. Haskins, I just don't think is viable enough. And so give it a few weeks, but I think you're going to see this guy. And we've talked highly over the years about him, always wanting him to do something.
Yeah.
This is my bridge bonus. Don't necessarily need to pick him up for this week unless you got some room. But I think in the next couple of weeks, watch the Chargers, see what they do. This guy, I think, is going to be towards the middle and end of the year, going to be a very important cog in the Chargers offense.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. As always, I say it every week. Always love the bonuses, whether it's Rob or it's Marty. And I full transparency. No know-it-all. I didn't even know that he was on the practice squad. Last I heard of him was he was cut. Now, most often guys get cut and then they re-sign him in the practice squad. Once I heard that they cut him after the downfall, he rose. He had anytime he touched the ball, he was electric. And he had such a fall, and then the cut, it was just like, I'm done with this guy. I'm not even looking into this guy. I'm not even thinking about this guy. And then you bring this guy up, and you're like, oh, yeah, duh. They probably signed him to the practice squad. Once again.
We'll see. We'll see. Give it a few weeks.
What a perfect lightning to Hampton's thunder.
Yeah.
For Coach Harbaugh. Right?
Yeah. They'd rather have Haskins returning kicks and punts than And this guy has it all. He can run between the tackles. He has outside speed. He can catch the ball.
Love it.
So
amazing
we'll see.
Amazing call.
But
you get better every week.
I mean, I was ready to go back from Herbert there, or a bear, as we say in Canadian. Herbert for the Bears going back, but I found this guy here, and I thought
this is better.
I got to share this.
This is better. This is great. This is a perfect call. Perfect call. Well done.
All right.
I love it.
So let's go to the matchup for Thursday. We've talked a little bit about it. The Seahawks are at the Cardinals. Seahawks favored by 1.5. It's 43.5 over under. Talked a little bit about the players. Obviously, Charbonnet, we're going to see if he's going to be back. Darnold facing the Cardinals. On the Cardinals side, McBride's done some stuff. Obviously, Benson's now the starter. Everybody's worried about Harrison too. That's one name I thought that we'd see a little bit more of. So what do you see in this game? Who do you think would be benefiting to play or start, and who are some players that you may be worried about?
Two things. First off, what did I not say would happen last week? I didn't say somebody would do something, and it happened. I'm telling you, every single time that I said someone would catch a touchdown, he never did. So I said, I'm not saying it, and then he will. And I didn't say it, and he did. It was a 1 yard touchdown. I feel like every single one of Trey McBride's touchdowns in his career are 1 yard touchdowns. I don't know how he does it, but if you go back and look, let's just say he has 10 touchdowns. He has much more, but let's just say he has 10. Would be willing to bet that 80% of them, 8, if it's 10, and if it's not 10, still 80% are 2 yards or less. I don't know how, but he always catches those. Secondly, I wish I had a telestrator. I wish I could circle that minus 1.5 in the middle. You see that? You see what that 1.5 tells me? That tells me that Vegas knows people are going to bet the Seahawks like crazy because the Cardinals looked like poo. They lost to the 49ers with all the chances to win. The Seahawks laid everything on the Saints, and yet the Seahawks are only 1.5 point favorites. I know that they're on the road, but it is a division game, and Vegas just knows. Let's put that little minus 1.5 out here because we know that 80% of bets are going to come in on the Seahawks. So that tells me that the Cardinals probably will end up winning this game. Just a hunch because they look so terrible. Seahawks look so good. It's just the way the NFL works. And if you haven't noticed that by now, what the hell have you been noticing? It's just the way it goes. There's no reason for minus 1.5 other than that. As far as the Cardinals go, someone will probably score a touchdown. I won't say his name. If what I'm saying is true, I would think Harrison will have to have a better game than he's had. The problem remains, and it was the same thing I said on Sunday, and it was the same thing that happened Sunday. Kyler Murray is missing these guys. He's missing them. It's just so inaccurate. And I know he's 4'11", but he's been able to make passes before in his life. And for whatever reason, he's either too short, too high, too left, too right, leading into traffic, and not using his legs enough. And if they go into this game and they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder because of the way they lost the Niners game that they should not have lost, they gave that one away. I know that they got the safety that was involved and all that to help them, but they really shouldn't have lost that game. If they go in with a chip on their shoulder, they're practicing today and tomorrow leading up to the game plan walkthrough Wednesday for the game Thursday. Or today and Monday leading up to tomorrow, whatever. Focusing on Kyler, you got to run the ball a little more and stop trying to do so much with your arm. Just let it happen. And if he does that, they're going to be fine. Another problem with this team is, in my mind, they really don't have a second wide receiver that anybody could fall in love with. It's like guys of the past, I feel like. And for the Seahawks, have you heard word on Charbonnet? I feel like maybe one more week they'll probably hold him out. So maybe we see a little more George Holani, and it'll be good because it's Thursday night game and everybody can look at this guy. He looked good at the end of the game, but that game was out of order and out of contention. So as far as playing guys, I mean, I suggested Torrey Horton to somebody, and that's your guy, Marty. And I absolutely love what I saw. Sam Darnold utilizing him more in the passing game. I love that he's returning kicks. He's electric. Go ahead and roll with Walker. But I would not touch the Seahawks with a 10-foot pole as a bet in this game. That line just smells. It's just smelly, isn't it? Am I wrong? Am I making things up?
I think so. I think so. It's almost like since Connor's out, they decided, okay, we're just gonna try to keep it, move it over a little bit over to the Seahawks side. I don't.
Yeah.
The Cardinals should have won against the 49ers. So,
but here's the other thing. I know that the majority of people that bet or follow football also dabble in fantasy, but some people also don't. I know a lot of people that don't play fantasy, but they follow football religiously, for lack of a better term, and they know that Connor's hurt. So I would think Connor being hurt makes the Seahawks minus even more points, because the casual or the non-fantasy guy doesn't know anything about Trey Benson. They're just like, oh my God, James Conner. I've known about him for 10 years. He's amazing. I love him so much. How will the Cardinals ever survive without him? Seahawks minus 1.5. Honey, we're remortgaging. We're taking out a second mortgage. Seahawks. And that's just what I feel like is going to happen. We can come on Sunday and I'm completely wrong, and people are buying a new house with their winnings. But it just stinks. It just tells me the Cardinals are going to win this game. I don't see a way. This line should be 8.5. At least 5.5. Based on last week, based on the injuries. Am I wrong?
What about the over-under?
Somebody tell me I'm wrong or if I'm right. Is anybody listening? Is this thing on?
Yeah. Put in the comments, is guest right or is he wrong?
It doesn't. It
At
doesn't
43.5. You feel that's going to be an under?
I will say this. I feel like if the Cardinals do win this game, which I feel like the line says that Vegas thinks they will, I feel like it will probably wind up being under. Because I don't know if the Cardinals, unless something clicks with Kyler Murray, they're just not clicking on offense. Unless something clicks and their offense really opens up, because right now Sam Darnold is clicking with his players, with JSN, with Horton, the running backs and the tight ends, because even though Arroyo, my boy, is going to be out more than likely, they still have AJ Barner, who's just fine. And a host of other guys. So their offense is clicking. So unless Kyler clicks, I think it could go under. I think you can see like a 20-17, 20-14, something like that, 20-16 type of game.
Right.
That's what I think, which stinks because we hate that on Thursdays, right? The boring, slow, low-scoring games. But it seems like we're about due for a boring, slow Thursday game, aren't we?
Yeah, we've had some good Sunday night and Monday nights, so why try Thursday should try to compete with those. So I think, but when I've talked, the last time I talked, there would be a sleeper. That was the Jets and Steelers in week 1, and you saw what they did. So if I'm saying this is a sleeper, do the opposite. We're going to see a 38-33 game or something like that. All right.
I'd be fine with that. I'd be fine with it.
Yeah. ABG3P. All right, quick fire round. Sam Darnold over under 230 passing yards.
That's a low number. Under 220.
Ken Walker over under 70 rushing yards.
Under 68. I'm going to get some specifics.
Trey Benson over under 60 rushing yards.
Over 64 at least.
JSN over under 90 receiving yards.
Under. I'm going to go under again.
Who shall not be named will score 1 touchdown. Did you like that?
I plead the fifth. I think that speaks for itself. That speaks for itself.
All right.
That speaks for itself.
Marvin Harrison over under 50 receiving yards.
You know what? I'm going over. You know why? Kyler's going to hit him for one big one, and that one big one is going to be over 40. So that'll help him to get over this mark. He'll get a 40-plus yard reception this game. You can write that one down.
He'll get one of those big plays. Okay. By the way, Keith says wrong on the spread. It should be like a 3.5. So I guess he's still taking the Seahawks on that. But
listen, I'm not saying what the line should be. I'm saying public perception of the line. We gotta take it off my hat. I agree. I'm agreeing, and with everything you're saying, he's got 3 lines there. He said wrong, then he said line should be like 3.5. Then he said sports best offense study it's enough. Counters at most a half point to a point. I agree. I'm thinking like a public Joe Public. In their mind, and this is what I'm saying, not my mind. I wasn't clear with that. In their mind, recency bettors, the casual football gambler, not somebody, whether or not you do or don't, you say you do it often. The casual guy goes, how are they only minus 1.5? The Cardinals lost last week and blew the game, and they only scored 15 points. Seattle scored 44, and the Cardinals lost their starting running back, the guy who I have his jersey and rookie card. Like, I love him. He's so amazing. He beat cancer. He's so great. How could this only be 1.5? It should have been 8. I'm betting the house on Seattle. That's what I feel like the normal, not normal, the not in as in tune as someone like you, Keith, who studies the lines and the gambling often. I'm just thinking the normal, casual person looks at it and goes, Seattle's been amazing. The Cardinals haven't. Why is the line only 1.5? I'm hammering Seattle. That's my thoughts. And I just think that line smells, and I feel like they are trapping people into that. They're not going to trap you into that. Well, maybe they will, but they won't because you think the line should be bigger. So your smart bet would be to take Arizona. Am I correct in that? Because even if you only think it's going to be 3.5, you should then be like, this line is too small. I'm taking the other team.
All right. We have another question pop up. Thoughts on JCM moving forward? That was the McNichols and Chris Rodriguez. Yeah. McNichols broke a 60-yarder, and
I mean that's week 3 in a nutshell. 2025, right? It's like some people might have started Rodriguez out of deep league desperation, whatever, and most people that started a running back started JCM, and of course McNichols gets a 60-yard touchdown. I mean, that's just how the week went and how fantasy goes in general. A lot of times they don't use him enough for us, but I feel like they're using him enough for them, and they're not going to put too much on his plate too early on. I think moving forward, you continue to use him when it's a good spot and when you need to. I wouldn't be trying to force him into the lineup like I know you have done, Jeremy. Play your matchups. You're using him as a flex. You used him over Kraft week 2. Last week, I'm not quite sure what you did, but I'm guessing that you probably used him as the flex again. Maybe not. But I think that's a perfect spot for him. RB2, flex. In my mind right now, he's RB3. So flex is probably a decent spot, but you play the matchups, you play the necessity on your end. He's sitting right on my bench. He's my 4th running back. I have Bijan, I have Jordan Mason, I have Trey Benson, and JCM is my 4th. And I feel absolutely extremely comfortable with those 4 as my running backs because I know when I need him to go in, if I need to, hopefully I don't, but if I do, he'll be a fine guy for me to play.
He did say, answer your question, he did. He seems good for a TD.
Yeah.
And I think watch with McLaurin. If McLaurin's out, Diami Brown's out. You have to see if Daniels is going to play or not. But this could be another, a third. Nichols, JCM, and Rodriguez again against the Falcons in Atlanta this week. But yeah, if he's their only choice, put him in there. But right now, I don't think he's using them consistently.
Yeah. And just real quick, I want to say to Keith's thing, because I'm looking at it again. So if he's saying Connor's a 1 point, that means that if Connor was still playing, this game Seattle would be -0.5, or it would be -1, or even a pick 'em, you could call it. I don't think that these two teams are even on the surface. And that's just my point, Keith. It should not be that. Should not be that. And I don't think the line should have been 2.5 anyway. I don't think the home field advantage is that big. I know that Seattle's home field is, but I'm talking about the casual, reactionary, stat sheet gamblers. Vegas will make money on them Thursday night. That's my prediction. I could be wrong. You can yell at me and make fun of me, Keith. You've been around long enough that I will allow you to do so on Sunday if I'm wrong.
Jeremy has Barkley, Brown, Benson, and then JCM. So, no.
Yeah,
I think he goes Barkley, Benson, and then Chase
Brown, JCM. Yeah, you definitely are Barkley, Benson. Those are your two. And then you play around with the other two.
For sure. All right. Let's see. I think that's it.
All right.
That's a Tuesday 3.5. Appreciate everyone joining in. Make sure you like us on Facebook. And as Gus said at the beginning, subscribe on YouTube. Hit your notification button. That way you know when we're going live. And we appreciate all the questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any final sayings here, since you've had some very astute thoughts over the last week or two?
What I think is that, Marty, you've done an excellent job. Thank you so much. So once again, thank you for helping us out with this. You've been more than just a fill-in. You are now a part of ABG, so thank you for that. And I can honestly say that I don't think week 4 will be anything like week 3. I think we'll get back to some normalcy. So let's see how Thursday goes, and then we'll see everybody 9 a.m. on Sunday.
Absolutely. We miss you, Rob.
Yep.
Thanks again for the kudos. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on Sunday again. Fire out the questions. We'll be watching on Facebook and such if we can answer them prior to Thursday. And we'll get all the other questions for Sunday. So have a great night. Good luck this week.
Yep. Good luck with your waivers tonight.